Are we going to be going forward?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, we're here in 12 CRB 1856. This matter is on for sentencing today. One count of aggravated trespass, one count of endangering children, or one count of voyeurism. Mr. Gudinski, is there anything you wish to tell me prior to me imposing sentence in these matters?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Mr. Shiraki is 27 years old. He has a young boy who is out there today. He came to me, since I've been representing him, Your Honor, he came to me from day one and he admitted to making a major mistake. He is remorseful for what happened. If the court will give him the opportunity, he would like to apologize to the victims in this case. Your Honor, he does have a good job. He works for a Fortune 500 company. And with his past, he was lucky to have that job. He does work hard. We would respectfully request that the court follow the recommendation, give him the opportunity to continue that job, and he's well aware and able to pay the house arrest, understands the time, and also understands that if the court does follow this recommendation, he's going to have a very strict probation plan, and that if anything happens during that probation plan, that he will have a substantial amount of time over his head, Your Honor. He has, Your Honor, also I'd like to mention, since this incident, he has been on GPS monitoring. There have been no issues during that time. Furthermore, he, on his own volition, Your Honor, he's attending the Jump Start program, which is a parenting class program that he does with his son, and that will continue until his son's 3 years old. Furthermore, he has began intensive outpatient treatment for some substance abuse issues. At the time of this, he was currently with his wife at the time of this. They didn't have a very strong relationship. There was problems with substance abuse. Since then, he is no longer with his wife. That is all, Your Honor. Thank you.
I will usually go to him next, but I'd rather I'll hear from him last. Probation.
Your Honor, I'm not actually necessarily involved in the matter too much. The only thing I would ask is that if the court does grant the house arrest, that house arrest be conditioned with GPS with a 1,500 feet radius of any exclusion zones that be set up. I don't believe that was made on the entry, but we would ask that a 1,500 feet radius be put in there.
Is there anything you would like to say or anything she'd like to tell me?
I would just like to say that after reading the very extensive police reports, I think to say they were disturbing is an understatement, and I hope that he understands that not only did he take something from the victim, Christy, which is something that the court can't order him to give back, which is her sense of safety and well-being. There are other collateral victims.
Her sense of dignity.
Absolutely. Is her husband, her daughters, his child who he left in the car when he went and did this. I would ask for some serious action.
Ma'am, you can take a moment if you want. If you want to address me, you don't have to, but if you do wish to address me, then you have absolutely every right to, and I'd be willing to hear anything you want to tell me.
He's, taken my whole life away from me. When I seen him trying to get into my door that night, I had to live with what would have happened if my husband didn't lock that door, because he would have gotten into me. He was on my roof. He completely saw me naked, watched me get dressed. And there were things that were going on before this incident took place in regards to a garage door opener came up missing. My house keys are gone. My dog was going crazy in the mornings. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get my daughters ready to get to work and them to school, and my dog was freaking out for a couple of mornings, and I can't even let my little girls walk into my kitchen. I have to move out of my home I just moved into. Everything has been taken from me. Even though he didn't get into my house, it feels like he did.
I thank you for being here. You know, you're a brave young woman for even coming in here. No, most people don't want to have to face those things. You've come in and you've told me how you feel. You've told me how this has affected you, and hopefully that starts for you a period where this can maybe start to get better. I don't know what will happen. I don't know that it will ever go away. I hope that it does for you. I hope that things get a whole lot better for you. You don't deserve this. There's nothing you've ever done that you deserve what happened to you. But I do hope it goes away for you. Understand that the best way that I can try to continue to protect you, if I just send him to jail, I lose control at some point in time. If I just send him down for 6 months or a year or whatever it's going to be, then 6 months or a year from now, there's nothing I can do if he walks anywhere he wants to walk. The longest time I can try to help you and protect you is if I place him on probation at this court with a GPS for a 5-year period, because then I'm going to know where he's at over a 5-year period. Hopefully I want to give you a little bit of peace of mind that there's somebody watching out there for you, seeing what's going on with him, where he's at, what he's doing, if he's getting too close. I hope that gives you a little bit better peace of mind. I don't know that I can ever give you true peace of mind again.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody can.
I don't know if anybody can, but hopefully that helps a little bit. I hope that it will help you a little bit, knowing that we're going to be watching, okay? And if you ask around, I can tell you straight up front, if I do this and I place him on probation for that period, he steps 1 foot out of bounds, 1 inch out of bounds, 1 centimeter out of bounds, then I'm simply going to send him down to the county jail, and I'm going to send him down there for as long as I can send him down there. I hope that gives you something.
Yeah, it does.
Sir, what do you want to tell me?
I first would like to apologize. I really did not mean to hurt anyone. I so badly wish I could take things back. I cannot make any excuses for the actions of that night. I've attempted to do everything I can since this time to take responsibility, and me personally, I feel that taking responsibility is taking actions to proving and preventing that type of ignorant choice in the future. I've been doing the drug classes to help with that addiction. I've been doing parenting classes. I go once a week swim classes with my son. I go to church every Sunday. I work 45 hours a week and drive an hour each way. I've been working really hard. I've turned down promotions in other areas of the country just because I can't leave with this going on. I've wanted to be responsible, and I truly wish there was something I could do to give some sort of peace.
But you can't, sir, because sometimes your actions are not fixable.
Yes.
Sometimes we become selfish. Sometimes we become hateful. Sometimes we do things that we can't repair the damage from what we do. And you can't repair this damage. You can't repair it. It's done. All you can do is beg somebody's forgiveness, but you know what? It takes an awful strong person to forgive. It's a whole lot easier in the world to hate you. For her, it's going to be a whole lot easier for her just to hate you for a whole long period of time. Ma'am, I'm not telling you what you have to feel ever or what you have to do, but I can give you a piece of advice. As long as you hate him, he'll always be with you.
No,
as long as you hate him.
I know that.
So the faster you can come to the point that you can forgive it and try to move on, that's when you're really going to get freedom from it. I don't know. I hope that can happen for you. You've imprisoned her. You've imprisoned her. She's locked someplace right now. She doesn't want to go outside. She's scared. She looks over her shoulder. She hears a noise at night. She doesn't know what it is. You're lucky you didn't walk into a house. You're a burglar, too, on top of that. You're lucky you didn't walk into a house. I tell you something, you walked into my house, I saw you looking through my window, you walked into my house, you'd have had an 8-9 millimeter slug right between your eyes. You'd be dead today. I wouldn't ask you questions. You walk into my house. You're lucky that man wasn't there. You're lucky that man didn't have a gun. You'd be dead.
I would like to add, just, I know they have no reason to believe me whatsoever, but the other issues, I know nothing about. That was the first time I've ever been in that area, and I've been monitored since.
You were a burglar as a juvenile. You were a burglar as an adult. You're a burglar. You take things from people. You take their sense of peace from them. You take their sense of security from them. You take their sense of hope from them. You steal from people. You are selfish. You are conceited. And all you do is take from people. They'll never have that same sense of security, no matter where. It could be in a different house. It can be in California. It can be. But what you've done, every time she hears a noise now, every time she hears a siren now, every time she's walking down the street, she's got to look over her shoulders. You are selfish, you are egotistical, you are manipulative, and you only care about yourself. And I know that's absolutely true because you had a baby sitting in the car while you did this. You didn't care about that baby sitting in that car. How did you know somebody wasn't going to... How do you know another one of the guys like you are not going to come along and take that baby out of that car? How did you know there wasn't one of my 5 drunk drivers today wouldn't have come along and smashed into that baby sitting there in that car? You put that baby's life in danger. You did. It's your baby. You put it in danger. Because you're selfish, and you're egotistical, and you're manipulative, and you care only about yourself. There are people like that in the world. And when they cross our paths, we're damaged. But the good thing is, you got a whole lot of good things to look forward to in the future. Don't let him take the rest of that away from you. Okay? Go ahead, look him in the eye and tell him he's not going to take that stuff from you. You want to look him in the eye and tell him? Okay. I'm going to tell you, you're not taking that stuff from her. You're not taking the rest of her life from her. She is strong, right? Am I right, sir? She's a strong woman?
Very much so. Very much so.
A whole lot stronger than you. Truthfully, weak and pathetic. That's what I see. Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
I hope when you hear my sentence that you take it in the right way that I'm giving it. Because again, if I just send him to jail in a short time period, I can't protect anymore. I will give this chance. I want to try to give you the peace of mind for a while, as long as I can, that you've got somebody watching over you. Okay? On the child endangering charge, you're fined $250 plus court costs. You're sentenced to 180 days in the county jail. You're to serve no less than 10 of those days in the county jail. The remaining 170 days will be served on electronically monitored home arrest with GPS monitoring, that being with a 1,500-foot radius. For every 1 day, he must serve 3.6 days of home arrest. So that will run us close to over 2 years, or close, okay? You are sentenced to a fine on the aggravated trespass of $250 plus court costs. I'm not going to impose a jail sentence in that matter. I'm going to place you on a basic probation for 5 years. On that charge, you are to do a parenting program. You are to do a substance abuse treatment program. You are to have no contact with Christy Barrett during that time frame. You're to commit no other offense during that time frame. You're to follow the rules and regulations of this probation department. You are to complete, comply with any programs or treatment ordered by probation. You are ordered to take a random drug or alcohol test as ordered by your probation officer, and that will be at your expense. If you do what you're supposed to, I'll do it at the end. On the voyeurism charge, you're fined $100 plus court cost. I won't impose a jail sentence today. The jail sentence is suspended. You're placed on 5 years probation. You're to get a sexual behavior assessment. You're to get substance abuse treatment. You're not to have any contact with Christy Barrett. Mandatory registration as a Tier 1 sex offender. You're not to repeat the same or related offense or any type of offense. You're to follow the rules and regulations of probation. You're to complete and comply with all programs or treatment ordered by probation. You're ordered to complete a drug or alcohol test as ordered by your probation officer. That will be at your expense. If you do what you're supposed to do while you're on probation to this court, pay your fines and court costs, you'll be done with this matter in 5 years, and that's as long as I can make something happen in this court. If not, and you are brought back as a probation violator, understand that if there is any home arrest time left with regard to the child endangering charge, if you're brought back as a probation violator, I will sentence you to whatever is left of that 180-day sentence. Consecutive to that, on the aggravated trespass charge, I would sentence you to an additional 180 days in jail. Consecutive to that, if you were violation on the voyeurism charge, I would sentence you to 60 days consecutive to that. So in total, you have 420 days hanging over your head. I've suspended as much, I think, that I should. I've tried to keep him for as long as I can on probation. But I will promise you something, sir. You step out of line 1 centimeter, and I will just put you down in the county jail for as long as I can put you down there. And I'll hold you down there, and I don't want to hear about a job. I don't want to hear about this. Don't want to hear about anything. The only way you can start to even try to make anything right is by completing your probation and staying away from her and leaving her alone and never, ever coming anywhere close to her. She is never, ever to see your face again. Where do you live, sir?
I live in Barberton, Ohio.
I need an address, please.
170 17th Street, Northwest.
Barberton is Summit County?
Correct. I just purchased a home that I'll be moving in 2 months, and still in Barberton, but...
You'll need to update our probation department then on your address.
Okay.
All right, sir, as required by statute and required by law, pursuant to Revised Code Sections 2950.04, 2950.041, you have been convicted or pleaded to a sexually oriented offense as defined by 2950.01. You are hereby classified as a Tier 1 sex offender. You are required to register in person with the sheriff of the county in which you establish residency within 3 days of coming into that county, or if temporarily domiciled for any more than 3 days. You are also required to register in person with the sheriff of the county in which you establish a place of education immediately upon you coming into that county. If you establish a place of education in any other state, but maintain a residency or temporary domicile here, you are also ordered to register in person with the sheriff or the other appropriate official in that other state immediately upon coming into that state. You are also required to register in person with the sheriff of the county in which you establish a place of employment if you have been employed for more than 3 days or an aggregate of any 14 calendar days. If you establish a place of employment in any other state but maintain a residence or temporary domicile here, you're also ordered to register in person with the sheriff or appropriate official in that state if you have been employed for more than 3 days or an aggregate of 14 days in a calendar year. Employment includes volunteer services. You are required to provide the sheriff temporary lodging information, including address, lengths of stay if your absence will be more than 7 days. After the date of initial registration, you are required to periodically verify your residence, address, place of employment, and/or place of employment in person at the county sheriff's office no earlier than 10 days prior to your verification date. If you change residence, address, place of employment, place of education, you shall provide written notice of that change to the sheriff to whom you have most recently registered and to the sheriff in the county in which you intend to reside or establish a place of employment or a place of education at least 20 days prior to any change and no later than 3 days after the change of employment. If the residence address change is not a fixed address, you shall include a detailed description of the place or places you intend to stay, and no later than the end of the first business day immediately following the day that you obtain that address, you must register with the sheriff that fixed address. You shall also provide a notice within 3 days of any change in any vehicle information, email address, identification, internet identifiers, or telephone numbers registered to you or to the sheriff with whom you have most recently registered. Depending upon your designation, you are required to comply with one of the following. As a Tier 1 offender, you must register for a 15-year period in person annually. Since your expected address is in Summit County, you shall register no later than April 29, 2013 with the Summit County Sheriff's Office this information. Failure to register, verify residence at the time that's a specified times, or to provide notice of a change in address or other information required will result in criminal prosecution. Do you understand this form as I've indicated it to you?
I do.
If you do, then I'll have your attorney take this form. On line 10, where it says offender signature and date, I'll need him to execute that form. Stacia, if you will, for me, I do not know the Summit County Sheriff's address, if you'll fill that in for me.
We'll get it.
Thank you.
May I approach right?
Sure.
I just need 2 signatures. We have an error on one of our forms.
Thank you.
We have to give her a copy, right?
Yes,
One of the copies?
yes. Yeah, we will need to get an address if you can for me. I'm the signature of the official, correct? If you can fill that in for me, we'll give him a copy of it. I need to do some things on the computer with it real quick, so. If you guys want to have a seat real quick, we got one more line to fill out on the form. We have to give you a copy of it. I have to do a couple things on the computer. We'll send you out to the clerk's office. So, thank you very much.
You should stay in the room, Your Honor?
Yes. If you can just have a seat for me. They bringing the other guy back, or Sierra back up? The one I threw down in contempt? Okay. Did you give his phone back to him? Did you give his phone back to him? Yeah. Okay.